Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Rama Stream YouTube channel. Right now it's Saturday, February 4th, 1:30 p.m. California time, and I just got back from work. Um, let's see here. Let's make sure that we are live. All right, we are live. I don't know why they're playing it. Okay. Um, and I saw this trending on Twitter earlier this morning, and I want to talk to you about it. I got some thoughts that I want to discuss to you about this topic. You may have seen it already. Armie Hammer, the actor, the Lone Ranger actor, and the Social Network star, or co-star, I should say. Jesse Eisenberg is the star of that movie. Has spoke up. This is by way of an interview, a written article interview on Airmail. I'm not familiar with this outlet, but Armie Hammer did an interview with Airmail outlet, and it was a lengthy one. Let me show you this to you. And I am not able to give you the complete article because you have to pay. You have to subscribe to Airmail outlet, and I don't want to. Why the hell would I want to if I don't really read Airmail like on a regular basis? Why would I want to waste money on it? But of course, other outlets have picked it up as well, and they have, deciphered some of the excerpts, if you will. Um, so let's start with, or let's just use some of them here. Variety. Armie Hammer, as you know, got canceled by Hollywood because of sexual abuse allegations, and then there's accusation of him doing cannibalism in some sort, abusive towards women. And that was about, I want to say, the 2 years ago. The last movie that he did was, I think, Rebecca, right, on Netflix. And then he was gone. He got canceled. I think right before, I'm sorry, I think it was right before pandemic started. Um, so anyway, 2 years, 2 years. I don't know what's wrong with my lips. So let's start with the variety here. 2 years, there you go. After he faced a series of sexual abuse allegations that ended his career as a movie star, Armie Hammer is attempting to tell his side of the story. In a new interview, he reveals that he contemplated suicide after his downfall and claims he was sexually abused by a youth pastor at 13. So, whether or not he's using that as an excuse, I don't know because I can't read the entire article. Like I said, the article it requires you to subscribe to it, which I won't. But basically he reveals like, hey, I got abused when I was 13 years old by my youth pastor. But I don't know if he said that because of that, that's why I'm doing this, or that's why I did this to these women. I don't think he said that per se. Hammer, who was the subject of an LAPD investigation after being accused of rape, denies all criminal wrongdoing, but admits to being emotionally abusive toward former partners he had met on the internet. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he also got married, and then the woman or the wife left him after this whole thing came up. But you can double check me on that. The actor who was accused of having cannibalistic fetishes now says that his interest in BDSM is I forgot the entire abbreviation for it, but it has to do with bondage. And a lot of people are into that kind of stuff, and that's fine. It's a free country. You are free to like whatever whatever turns you on sexually. There's no. I'm not judging you if you like BDSM, but I am judging you if you are abusive towards other people or if you victimize other people. Um, so anyway, now says that his interest in BDSM originates from being sexually abused by his youth pastor when he was 13 years old. Let's pause for that. Let's think of that for a second. Like, I don't know how that how how A connects to B. Like, okay, so it seems like he's blaming his past, and the reason why I get into this world is a lot of people I think are into BDSM. They're not necessarily, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't think it's fair to blanket assume that everybody who's into, or anybody who's into BDSM or bondage, kinky stuff, it's because they were victimized when they were young. Mm, but maybe that's his lived experience. Maybe he's just speaking on behalf of himself, and that's fine. He's saying that for me, my liking BDSM is because, or originates from when I was abused when I was 13 years old. So let's go to the quote here. This is what he literally said. What that did for me, the abuse, 13 years old, all right? It introduced sexuality into my life in a way that it was completely out of my control. I was powerless in the situation. I had no agency in the situation. Sexuality was introduced to me in a scary way where I had no control. My interest then went to, I want to have control in the situation sexually. Okay, so I get it. So he's saying that because control was taken away from me when I was 13 years old, therefore I'm craving control on other people. Just like the youth pastor takes control of me when I was 13. Do you see what I'm getting at? That's what he was. That's the connection that he wanted to make, basically, to answer to my earlier question. Okay, let's go continue, and then I'll share my thoughts. Speaking with the digital newsletter Airmail, again an outlet that I have no interest in subscribing to. Armie Hammer tells his side of the story for the first time. Airmail reports that Hammer told two people about his childhood abuse, and the publication states it corroborated his account with his godmother. Okay, Hammer, to give you further context here, what's going on, Rama? If you had lived under the rock these past 2 years, Armie Hammer was accused in 2021 of sexual abuse. And okay, I'm sorry, I said earlier that it was prior to pandemic. Apparently it's after pandemic. He was accused in 2021 of sexual abuse and improper behavior by numerous women whose claims spiraled on social media and put the social network actor at the center of a media firestorm. In the wake of the scandal, Hammer was dropped by his agency, WME, and was fired from a plethora of projects, including Jennifer Lopez's Shotgun Wedding, which, by the way, was recently released on Prime Video. I haven't seen it yet, but Josh Duhamel replaced Armie Hammer. And you know what? Josh Duhamel is a fantastic actor. So I think it's a pretty fair replacement. Okay, over the past 2 years, the actor has worked as a timeshare salesman in the Cayman Islands and has spent time in a recovery facility. Last year, a Discovery Plus docuseries, House of Hammer, chronicled Hammer's downfall, with a handful of his accusers publicly coming forward on camera. I haven't seen the docuseries. It was a big deal when it came out. This was a photo by TMZ of Armie Hammer working as a timeshare salesman at Cayman Island. When this photo came out, I was like, okay, wow, how bad was his financial situation was. I mean, the dude was a movie star, okay? Armie Hammer was a leading man, okay? He was not a supporting actor, he was not a second, third lead or anything like that. No, he was a leading man. He was a lead star. After the Social Network blew up, the Lone Ranger, Free Fire, all kinds of movies starring Armie Hammer. He made millions of dollars in Hollywood, right? I would assume so. He made millions of dollars. So when he was working as a timeshare salesman when this came out, I'm like, dude, how much of a rock bottom has he actually hit? Did he really lose all those millions like crazy that he had to work this 9 to 5 job? my God, these rich folks, man, they don't save anything up, right? Like we poor folks, like we're just barely scraping by. We're trying to save every penny we can get together, gather together, or collect from our paycheck. But these, folks like Army Hammer just blew the whole thing, man. It's like all millions of dollars just gone. Now he has to do a daytime job. There's nothing wrong with daytime job. I'm not minimizing timeshare salesman anywhere. But can you just take that in? Like, holy crap, Of course, he probably has to pay his ex-wife, whatever, some money and all that, lawyer stuff. Maybe that eats up, his finances. But that is just crazy from a million-making movie leading man to this. That is just insane. Okay, here we go. Let's continue. Armie Hammer reveals he contemplated suicide as his life was unraveling. I just walked out into the ocean and swam out as far as I could and hoped that either I drowned or was hit by a boat or eaten by a shark, Hammer tells Airmail, recalling a time in the Caymans. Then I realized that my kids were still on shore and that I couldn't do that to my kids. Oh, okay. I didn't know that he was a father. So that's another thing that complicates his situation. Um, that sucks, man. Like I kind of feel for him a little bit. If you're a dad, I'm not a dad, but if you're a dad, you have this other layer of, oh my God, what would my kids think of me? And when they grow up, they'll be like looking up the internet and they'll see this on Wikipedia about their dad. There's this thing, the legacy, the burden of legacy that you like, just get haunting your in the back of your head. It's like, oh my God, what am I leaving my kids with? Hammer, here you go. Hammer was married to TV host Elizabeth Chambers. Elizabeth Chambers for 10 years, and they announced their split before the allegations came out against Hammer. The couple shares 2 young children. And I remember when the allegations came out, you guys may have recalled as well, it was spreading like wildfire on Twitter. It was based on text messages and stuff like that, about his cannibalism fetishes, how he wants to. I don't want to get into details, but it was a big deal when it came out. It was like everybody was just talking about it online. Um, in his new interview, Hammer goes into great detail discussing some of the accusations against him, undermining the nature of the allegations and painting a very different uh, picture than what was set forth by his accusers. The most damning allegation against Hammer was by a woman known as Effie, who accused him of violently raping her. Let's make this bigger. Here we go. Which led to the LAPD investigation. Effie is behind the Instagram account House of Effie, which first posted shocking allegations against Hammer, garnering widespread attention in early 2021. Yeah, I remember that. Hammer comments on his relationship with accuser Courtney Vushikovic and Paige Lorenz, acknowledging that the power dynamics were off and admitting 1,000,000% that he was emotionally abusive towards both women. Quote, I would have these younger women in their mid-20s and I'm in my 30s. I was a successful actor at the time. They could have been happy to just be with me and would have said yes to things that maybe they would not have said yes to on their own. That's an imbalance of power in the situation. In the new interview, Hammer denies criminal wrongdoing and boils down his behavior and subsequent accusation to being, quote, an asshole. I'm here to own my mistakes, take accountability for the fact that I was an asshole, that I was selfish, that I used people to make me feel better, and when I was done, moved on. I'm now a healthier, happier, more balanced person. I'm able to be there for my kids in a way I never was. I'm truly grateful for my life and my recovery and everything. I would not go back and undo everything that's happened to me. The Call Me By Your Name actor says he has improved through his recovery and is now working as a sober companion to a fellow recovering addict out of rehab. I'm going to move in with him and live with him, get him on a healthy routine, get him on a healthy schedule, a good schedule of recovery meetings, and take him to the gym, cook healthy food for him. Hammer says of working as a sober companion. It feels like my recovery has taken a turn from me being the one who needs help staying sober to me being able to help others. Okay, so I guess he's sponsoring another addict, if you will. He's gotten to the point where he can do so. Um, Hammer also confirms past reports that he has found a friend in Robert Downey Jr., who has supported him through his downfall and stint in rehab. Vanity Fair previously reported that Iron Man actor paid for his treatment and provided him with additional financial assistance and a place to stay to help him get back on his feet. Oh, dude, Robert Downey Jr. is such an angel. Whether or not you agree that he should do this, the fact that he does this, on his own accord, with his own initiative, that speaks a lot of Robert Downey Jr. Those of us who are old enough would remember how Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s went through a lot of trouble, including heroin, cocaine addiction, what have you. And he got canceled, in the 90s. He was, and I think to the late 2000s as well, in the early 2000s, when Ali McBeal kind of gave him a chance a little bit. But he was in the rut. And so he can relate to folks like Armie Hammer. So I get it. I get why Robert Downey Jr. wanted to help Armie Hammer, because Robert Downey Jr. had been there. Not exactly the same situation, obviously. Robert Downey Jr. was never accused of sexual abusing anybody, but he had been canceled in the past. And so, and Robert Downey Jr. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here about Robert Downey Jr., but he is famous also for very, very, for being very, very nice to regular folks. I read a report or news somewhere a few years ago where he stopped. He was on his way somewhere, where he told his driver to stop, and he's just so he could take photos with the fans for an hour, and he would be late to his destination. But that's just another topic for another time. But Robert Downey Jr. is a good man. That's the point of it. Armie Hammer says there are examples everywhere, Robert Downey Jr. being one of them, of people who went through those things and found redemption through a new path. And that, I feel like, it's what's missing in this cancel culture, woke mob business. Hammer says the minute anyone does anything wrong, they're thrown away. There's no chance for rehabilitation. Okay, pause. Now he's being defensive. Now he's being, with this statement right here, it sounds like he's lashing out. Now, you could be angry, if you get canceled and you feel like, oh, that's not fair, I shouldn't be canceled. But, dude, it's apples and oranges comparing what Robert Downey Jr. did to what you allegedly did, Robert Downey Jr. was sort of self-destructive, with his addiction. You were destructive towards others. You see what I'm saying? So, no, Armie Hammer. This last sentence, you can't claim that, as a victim, like, oh, this woke mob and cancel. Sure, there's the woke mob and cancel culture. They have their problem, and we have discussed that in other topics. It's not fair to just if you are a person that's anonymous on Twitter, and your mission in life is just to get a celebrity fired, that's your purpose. Oh my God, I can't wait to get celebrity. That's how I do good for society. No, you're an asshole too. You're a punk. Really? You got nothing better to do with your life? You're like, oh yeah, I'm a hero because I got somebody fired. No, you're not a hero. You're a loser. So yeah. But at the same time, Armie Hammer lashing out was like, oh, this cancel culture woke my business going after me. The minute anybody does anything wrong, they're thrown away. Well, I think there's a spectrum for what is considered wrong. All right? Victimizing somebody else, that's pretty bad. We can discuss whether or not you have a chance for rehabilitation, and that's good that you are
taking the steps to rehabilitate yourself. But this sounds like blaming everybody, them. Like if you want to own up, just have a self reflection. Don't be like, oh, I can't believe, man, I can't believe, like, the minute I did something wrong, I can't work anymore as an actor, dude. If it's true, you're victimizing somebody. You're causing pain and trauma on somebody else. Like, have a moment of self reflection already. Just a little bit. Don't be defensive. Don't be lashing out. Just like, if you want people to if you want people to really take you serious, take your apology seriously, just don't spew this last statement. This is not gonna do you justice. This is not gonna help your case at all. It's not gonna help your case at all. Um, when they throw someone like me on the fire to protect themselves, all they're doing is making the fire bigger, and that fire is now out of control and it's gonna burn everyone. Really? Oh, Army, you almost had me on your side earlier with the whole, oh yeah, Robert Downey Jr., is helping me out. I'm staying sober now, and now I'm in a position of helping somebody else. Dude, you don't need to like do this last two statements, man. This is just, oh, the fire's now out of control and it's gonna burn. Dude, what are you doing, a TED talk on cancel culture? Maybe someday down the road you can do that, you know. But this is not the place for it. Right now you're using this outlet, all male, which is obscure to me. You're supposed to use it just as a way to like own up to to what you did. Sorry, 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 sorry. But I didn't do this. What they accused me of. Try to maybe clarify some of the things, that some of the allegations. You can correct. Some of what you believe is not true. That's fine. But these last two statements, like, oh, you're trying to preach. Now you're trying to preach with these last two statements. So you almost had me on your side, Army, until you blew it with these two a few sentences, if you will, the last one. So my thoughts on this. Oh, you know what? Chat. Samuel is here. What up? What up? What up, Samuel? All the way from France. Dominic, I don't know. I hate to say it, but I used to like Hammer's media. I don't know what his story is for sure, but I like his media. Sounds like Hammer never grew up and isn't taking accountability. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, to the point where he said that a lot of this stems from him being abused by his youth pastor when he was 13 years old. I feel awful about that. Nobody should ever be abused, especially at that young age. Um, usually we hear about Catholic priests, and this is youth pastor, so it's not. I guess I'm assuming it's not Catholic; it's more Protestant. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Nobody should be abused at any age, let alone that young. So I feel for him about that. Okay. And he said that because sexually the pastor took control of me, therefore I had to control somebody else sexually. Like that I have a little problem with. I get it. I get the connection. Okay. And I guess that is his experience. All right. So you can't take that away from him. But at the same time, do you remember James Franco? Remember that? I did a video by James Franco also admitting, like, oh yeah, I was using my power dynamics as a professor to sleep with my college students, and it was fame, man. He said it was fame that got me to that point. Like, oh, I feel so powerful. Fame made me feel like I can do anything. Like, and then I use that. So he blamed his sexual addiction on fame. But then again, at the same time, there's a lot of people who are famous and they didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe fame has just as you know, different effect on different people. In the case of Armie Hammer, he also said in this the sentence that I gave you earlier, how I was like a successful actor, so all these girls, so for people like James Franco and Armie Hammer, I'm not putting them in the same box, but I'm just saying that apparently it seems that fame gets to their head, like so much so that, oh my God, I'm so successful, a leading man in Hollywood. Women throw themselves at me. I can do anything and get away with it. I, it's like a drug, and I don't know if that is enough or sufficient base to blame your behavior on. You see what I'm getting at? Um, Tom Hanks is famous, but he's not abusive. He's not using his power dynamics to use women. I don't know. That's maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Like for example, um, Kanye West. Here's another example. Kanye West said all that anti-Semitic stuff. He's spewing. I love Adolf Hitler. I love Nazi. And people like, well, Rama, Kanye West is bipolar. He's a bit, mentally ill. He's not taking his medication. But a lot of people are bipolar. A lot of people are not well, but not all of them are spewing anti-Semitism. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And then another example, Elon Musk. People say, "Oh yeah, he has some autism in him. He's in the spectrum." But my cousin, I'm sorry, not my cousin, my nephew is autistic, and he's not an asshole. I don't think he's gonna grow up and be a tyrant. You know, like 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 Elon Musk using his wealth and power to fire everybody. To cancel everybody, to suspend Twitter accounts that he doesn't like. You see what I'm getting at? I don't know if you can blame it on bipolar. I don't know if you can blame it on autism. I don't know if you can blame it on fame. Um, I get that Armie Hammer needs to find a reason, like something that originates, like why he did what he did. Uh, but I think it's a lot more complicated than that, because not all bipolar people are anti-Semitic like Kanye West, and not all autistic people are assholes like Elon Musk. Not all people who were abused when they were young, like Armie Hammer, grow up to abuse other people. You see what I'm getting? So uh, that's my take on that, on his reason, on the origin, where his abusive behavior stems from. That's my take on that. I think we need to be careful. I think it's a lot more complicated, a lot more complex than that. Um, and my second point is, I told you earlier, like he almost had me on his side, but then the last part, like he was just lashing out on cancel culture. I was like, dude, just shut up, just just shut up. You're not doing a TED talk. You're not doing a preaching of any kind. Like all they're doing is making the fire bigger, and that fire is now out of control and it's going to burn everyone. Like, dude, what are you doing a sermon for, man? Just hit the brakes. Just own up and apologize and leave it at that. Leave it at that. Don't speak any further than that. This guy, man, this guy, unbelievably funny. And my last point is, and this is a question I'm throwing out to you guys, and I'm gonna also post a poll on YouTube. I posted a poll on YouTube, on Twitter, and I'll show you here. I asked the question: do you want Hollywood to uncancel Armie Hammer? Do you want Hollywood to uncancel Armie Hammer? So far on Twitter, I posted this like an hour ago. 61.5% said yes, they want Armie Hammer to come back to do movies again. But 38.5% said no, they want Armie Hammer to go and stay away. Um, Interesting result. Looking forward to see how the result goes when I post it. When I post the poll on YouTube later. Let's see to the chat here. Samuel, it's always great to hear you live. Oh, thank you so much, brother. Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. Dominic Janspanner, you are very correct. There are a ton of well-adjusted famous folks. You interview many of them, and they don't use their power in such a way. You yourself are famous and would never do it. I am hardly famous. I am very, very poor, broke, and obscure. Thank you, though, Dominic. Appreciate it. And look at this, guys. I posted uh, my old selfie of me and Armie Hammer. And I said, this old selfie photo of me and Armie Hammer at Free Fire Press Junket doesn't age well anymore. Zing! By the way, if you want to ask me, if you're asking me, how's Armie Hammer in person? Well, I only got the actor, the movie star side of him. When I met him interviewing for Free Fire. So yeah, I don't know him personally. Obviously, it's just a press interviewing an actor. That's all it is. Another regular Tuesday. Um, Obviously, he was nice to us, the press. He was promoting his movie. He wasn't showing. He wasn't showing his supposed bad side. But yeah, this photo does not age well anymore. I'll post it on YouTube later as well. Um, Samuel says if he did rehab, he should work again. Um, Good point. Good point. That also goes to the question of should Ezra Miller be allowed to return as Flash in the Flash sequels, right? Because there's been rumors now that WB executives apparently liked what they saw in the Flash movie. Of course, they did a early screening of it. They already did it, and they liked it, and that they're thinking about having Ezra Miller back for the potential sequels. Now that Ezra Miller um, are going through rehab, or going through are getting help, therapy, and stuff like that. So that's another question as well. Like with people like Armie Hammer, with people like Ezra Miller, should they be allowed to continue doing what they do? And Samuel has spoken. Samuel said, yes, if you did the work, did the rehab, why not come back? That's fine. That's a fair opinion on Sam. I want to know what the rest of you think. Um, exactly, like Warner still want to work with Ezra Miller. Free Fire was a great movie. I had mixed feelings about Free Fire. I have mixed feelings. I think that the funniest part about Free Fire, if you recall, Samuel, was that everybody was shooting like all over the place. Like everybody, all the characters in that warehouse behave like stormtroopers in Star Wars. You know how stormtroopers never hit their target? You know? Go watch the movie again. It's like that's part of the comedy. Like everybody just shooting everybody, shooting up the place, but nobody got hit. Everybody was behaving like stormtroopers. I guess that was part of the sense of humor of the movie. Um, so yeah, yeah, Samuel thinks like, hey, if you did the time, if you did the rehab, why not? What do you guys think? What the rest of you guys think about this? Um, what want to know? What do you want to know? What I think? I think I believe in second chances. I myself have been given second chances in the past. So I want to believe that people can have second chances because I experienced second chances. Um, the 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 problem with Armie Hammer is a lot more complicated because now he has LAPD investigating him. He's got legal problems. So he needs to sort those out first. I think he needs to sort those out first and clear his name. You know, fight this out in the court. If he does believe like, oh, what they're accusing me of is not true, do it like Johnny Depp did. Just take it to court and see what the outcome of that is. Um, because right now he admitted to being abusive towards younger women who threw themselves at him because he was a leading man movie star. So he admitted to that at the very least. He's like, I was emotionally abusive to them. He doesn't say he admitted to the cannibalism stuff. The article didn't say that he admitted to that, but that's why that's what trial and courtrooms are for. You know what I'm saying? Um, Before you can return and do movies and stuff like that, I think that would be the best way to go about it. Because right now if you try to come back, your movies are not gonna make money, and I don't know if any filmmaker wants to attach themselves or their projects to you, Army. Right now, you are kind of toxic. Your brand, your name is your brand. All these actors, their name is their brand, right? And right now, Army's brand is toxic. So yes, he goes through the rehab. That's fine. That's awesome. He's taking therapy. That's cool. And now he's sponsoring somebody else. He said, right? He's helping somebody else. That's awesome. That's awesome. But you got to sort these legal stuff out first. Because right now nobody wants to. Everybody wants to keep their distance from you, Army. Unless you make your own film, unless you become a director, do an independent movie, stuff like that. But you're not, right? So you need to get hired, right? So and nobody wants to hire you, so you got to sort this out first. Okay, um, and maybe, just maybe, you can come back. Dominic John Spano says, a part of me wants to see these folks work again just because I enjoy their media. But in a real world work situation, if you did even a fraction of these things, you would likely end up in jail. Um, that's true. That's true. Folks like you and me, Dominic, we're not powerful. We're not influential. We're not millionaires. We don't have money. We don't have name recognition, name brand. They would just the police would just throw the book on us. If we did a fraction, like you said, half of what they're just like, oh yeah, go to jail. We're gonna kick you into the jail and throw out the key. So you're right. Samuel, Will Smith announced Bad Boys 4. That means Will is uncancelled. Yeah. Yeah. So I think Will is making a comeback, and you're right. He announced Bad Boys 4. But again, you can't put everybody in the same level, Samuel. Right? Robert Downey Jr. What he did is not on the same level as Armie Hammer. What he did, it's not on the same level as Will Smith. Slapping somebody on the stage in public is not the same as abusing women. It's not the same as self-destructive. It's different cases here. But I think to comment on your comment, Will Smith is easier for him to come back because the degree of his violation is not as bad or as awful as what is being accused of Armie Hammer of doing. So that's why it's easier for Will Smith to to come back. Um, so I'm so happy Will Smith canceled because he did nothing wrong. Okay, so Samuel's on the side of he did nothing wrong with the slap. That's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, so let's end this video by saying that I'm interested to know what you think about this topic. Please share them in the comment section below. But lastly, I just want to say that Army, I'm interested in buying timeshare. So let's talk. Let's have a sit down. You are a timeshare salesman. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But Army, definitely Army. I want to see Armie Hammer star in movies again. Yeah, I think I would. I would. Was I a huge fan of Armie Hammer before this scandal happened? Not really. Um, but I love his story to rise or story to fame. I don't know if you read this, but I read that when he decided to go to Hollywood to pursue acting, he was, I kid you not, and this you can look it up. He was disowned by his family and his parents, and then they're well off. These parents are well off. They're not poor or anything like that, but they did not want him to go down that career path. They did not want him to become an actor, but he decided, you know what, I want to pursue Hollywood. And he went through a lot of struggles, like many aspiring Hollywood actors. And then he got his big break with The Social Network, and he became a millionaire, became a leading man. And then I read that eventually his relationship with his parents and his family healed up, because he became successful. He proved them wrong, and that's a great story, you know. Um, Whether or not you like Armie Hammer now, but prior to the scandal, That's an inspiring story. A lot of us, we like, oh, we want to chase our dream, but our parents says no. How are you gonna feed yourself? Or no, we're gonna disown you. We don't agree with that lifestyle. We don't agree with Hollywood. A lot of people have that horrible connection with their family because they want to pursue their dream, whatever that dream may be. It doesn't have to be Hollywood. So the story of him eventually become successful, showing to his parents or his family, like, hey, see, I made it. That's a pretty awesome story. And because of that, I kind of want to see him come back just to be a comeback kid. A comeback kid is another great story as well. Why not? Why not? But again, he has to sort out this legal stuff, these accusations. And then if the women turned out to be true in their accusations, then he needs to do the time. Okay, he needs to do the time, right? If he's proven to have done what he did to those women, then he needs to do the time. Um, and then maybe we can discuss him being a comeback kid. Okay, if he's proven guilty and then he just wants to come back, like, why? Go away, dude. That's my take. You're guilty of that. You abuse women. That's proven true now. If it's proven true, then I don't want you back. Do the time. Do the jail, and then come back. But we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens here. So, Samuel said, I don't compare them. I wanted your view on Will. I already gave you my view on Will. We already discussed Will Smith at length. You can watch the video of that on one of the live stream videos that I did. Will Smith's past story now. So, like you said, he's coming back with Bad Boys 4. So, yeah. But Armie Hammer, what do you think of that? This story right now? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And thank you, Samuel. And thank you, Dominic, for chatting with me in the chat box and for tuning in. And for the rest of you, share your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribe. All right, I'm going to go now. Let's rock this.